All right, guys, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, see me. I don't know what's going on here. My computer's all wacky. Testing one, two, three. I don't know what's going on, guys. I got two windows going on here. I've got an external screen and my laptop computer screen is dead. So I'm operating on one screen, but there's two views. So
There you go.
it's back.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, give me a 5x5 in the chat room, guys. Super important what we're going to talk about. We are back. All right. I don't understand what's going on here. All right, I'm going to try it. What would you say if I came to you and said, I'm going to take your freedom and give you security, but it's contingent. Me giving you security is contingent on me taking your freedom. You would have to look at me and say that I'm a raving psychopath. There's nothing more important than your freedom. Your freedom, and I would just contend freedom is more important than your life, because freedom is your life. If you lose your freedom, you lose your life, you lose the lives of everybody in your life that you love, everything that you hold dear. If you have no freedom, you have nothing. Nothing. And don't think for a second that political psychopaths, and I don't care who it is, if you've checked yourself into the cult of personality, that's basically your problem. And it's a major problem. It's a mountain you have to overcome. If you've checked yourself into the cult of personality for a Barack Obama or a Hillary Clinton or a Donald Trump or a George Soros or a Bill Gates or whoever, you can't see with a logical, critical eye. You have literally you've closed yourself off to critical thinking. You've suspended all critical thinking is put in suspended animation. Now I saw this guy, I know there's a couple of guys named Craig in the chat room, but I was looking before the show started. Yeah, it's psychological operator, you're right. It's our problem too. If you give away, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. If you give away your freedom, it's your problem and it's my problem, because you and I are only as free as our neighbors. If our neighbors outnumber us 1,000 to 1, we don't have freedoms. If they're enslaved in their minds, we got a serious problem. Houston, we got a problem. People have enslaved minds. If you're surrounded by people with enslaved minds, you will be an enslaved individual. You are not free. This is, guys, get the illusion and get the mantra out of your heads. This isn't the land of the free, home of the brave. This is land of the fee, home of the slave, and it's been like that for a long time. And this is not a cliche. You are a slave. If they're going to make you pay property taxes, you don't own your house. You don't own your land. You don't own your property. You don't own anything on that property. You're a slave. If you're forced to pay somebody something that you don't want to pay against your will and without your consent, and they're going to come in with armed enforcers and make you do that which you do not want to do, you are a slave. That's the definition of slavery. Don't kid yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't pacify yourself and saying, "Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave." It's a lie. It's a figment of everybody's imagination. You're only free if you can operate as a sentient being on this planet without being interrupted by some political or some government psychopath who's going to make you do something against your will without your consent. Pay your taxes. Buy your license to fish. Buy your license to go drive. If you don't have a license, you can't drive. If we catch you driving without a license, we're going to impound your car. We're going to steal your property. If you continue to drive without a license, we're going to take your ass to jail. And then you'll really be enslaved. This is the land of the fee, home of the slave. And this licensing, this registration, licensing can be summed up by this. The government takes your right away and then sells back to you the right you already had in the first place. Government will never make any. Sprinkle government on baked potato, sprinkle it on broccoli, sprinkle it on your life, sprinkle it all over your business. It will not make things better. It always makes things worse. It's caustic. It's acidic. It's gonna devour whatever it's sprinkled on. Prices always go up. Quality always goes down. People always get hurt. There's always slavery. Why? Because the government is a euphemism for slavery, for bondage, for mind control. That's literally what government means. Governo mentis, to control or govern the mind control. Government is all about control. I don't care if it's Obama's government, Reagan's government, Bush's government, Bush 2's government, Trump's government. It's all about control. When you're for a person in government, when you're for a government functionary, when you've checked yourself into the cult of personality, when you've suspended your critical thinking and you can't be taught anymore because your guy is sitting on the throne and he's going to make everything better. Look, he's for the Second Amendment. You have no ability to see with your mind. You're only believing with your heart. And belief will always be the enemy of knowledge. It will always be the enemy of logic and vice versa. So don't think that a government psychopath is going to come to you and just speak harsh words of, we're taking away your freedoms. We're going to take away your guns. You have no right to be secure in your person's house's papers in effect. They're not going to come at you like that. They're going to be, hi, we're from the government and we're here to help. That's the worst thing. That's the reason those are the 9 most terrifying words in the English language, is because when they come to help, their help is, I'm going to break your legs, give you a taxpayer-funded crutch, and tell you, see, if it wasn't for government, you wouldn't be able to walk, boy. Look at that. Look how much better we made your life. It's like, wait a second. I wouldn't have had broken legs in the first place to even need a crutch. And the only reason you could give me a crutch is not because you created it, is because you stole the resources from somebody else before you could actually give it to me. And it's really not giving. You haven't gifted me anything. It comes with strings attached. Now I'm deeper in slavery than I was before you broke my legs and gave me that crutch. So if we can look at, if you can get your heads out of your asses long enough, I'm talking about everybody who's checked into the Trump cult of personality, maybe you can see clearly to see that he just declared war on America. Trump just declared war on America. When you institute and threaten martial law and to marshal every alphabet soup government, federal bureaucratic agency, you're literally saying, I'm about to enslave all Americans because of what certain rioters are going to do. Am I against rioting? Yes. Am I against violence in the street? Yes. Am I against setting fires and breaking windows and flipping cars and ruining businesses? Absolutely. But the answer to all that is not government, because government's the problem that got that whole ball rolling in the first place. The whole reason people are in the streets rioting is because of government functionary. You know, I'm not going to get into whether that event, we're not going to talk about the specific event because apparently YouTube doesn't like that, if it's real or false, but it scarcely matters. The ball's already rolling. A little snowball on the top of the hill, it's not a snowball anymore. It's about to turn into an avalanche. A societal avalanche and an economic avalanche, which he's already signed the $6.2 trillion stimulus package that was basically a corporate banker bailout, and nobody even blinked an eye. That's why I keep showing that videos on my vlog channel. I'm going to sign the 6 point. I never signed anything with a T on it before. He just signed away the freedoms and lives and the laboring energies of generations of yours and my posterity that haven't even been born yet. For the bankers. To cover for all the corporate shenanigans over the past since 2008. And that bubble will burst. And we will suffer for it. I don't care how many dollars you got in your pocket. I don't care how much you've accumulated in your bank account. Martial law is coming. It's coming. He's ready to usher it in. He's already doomed us. He's already taken us to the financial gallows, the economic gallows. We're already dangling off the economic precipice because of the $6.2 trillion. Even Obama didn't do that. Even Obama didn't do that. He did in 10 seconds with a 10-second signature what Obama couldn't even hardly do in a whole term as president. Just rammed it through. Why? Because we got to help Americans. We got to help Americans. 6.2 trillion. Oh yeah, where did the rest of that? I've heard numbers, different numbers, up to and including $380 billion actually going for this stimulus package. Actually going to help Americans. And that doesn't help you guys. It's not money they're giving you. It's not real, sound, honest money. They're throwing notes of debt at you. Debt you're going to have to pay for. I'm going to have to pay for. They, without my will and against my consent, they stuck $1,200 in my bank account. I don't want it. I know what you got to do to get rid of that debt. It's going to cost me more time and laboring energies. Maybe it's going to materialize in the form of energy prices going up, egg prices going up, meat, fish, broccoli, all your groceries is going to go up. It's already going up. It's going to go up. I was talking to a guy the other day. He goes, I've not seen beef prices go up this quickly in such a short period of time. It's like a 20%, 18 to 20% increase already in beef prices. Yep, there's a payday someday. You ain't getting that $1,200 for free. Ain't gonna happen because it's not really $1,200. It's $1,200 worth of debt. They've when you take it, when you spend, whether you spend it or don't spend it, you're still shackled with that debt. Anytime the government comes at you with help, they're just picture them coming at you with their hands about to go around your neck, their claws about to go around your neck, grabbing you by the balls, as George Carlin would say. Toilet paper price hike. All right, let's listen to this. Listen closely, guys, because he's going to mix some good sounding words in here. Listen to this.
Swore an oath to uphold the laws of our nation, and that...
No. You swore to uphold the Constitution. You know how many laws? There's like 73,000. Last I checked, there were 72 or 73,000 laws in the Federal Registry. You don't swear to uphold the laws of the nation. Most of them are unjust, immoral, and downright cruel and wicked. Nobody in their right mind would swear to uphold wicked, cruel, unjust laws. Now, if you just stayed with the Bill of Rights, okay, I could probably give you a pass on that. But when you start swearing that you're going to uphold all these laws, well, that spells bad news for any people. The more laws you have, the less freedom you have.
That is exactly what I will do. All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain.
Shudder in your boots when any government functionary says justice will be served. No government agent knows anything about justice or kindness or compassion or love or equity. None of them. If they did, they wouldn't be politicians. They wouldn't be presidents or congressmen or senators. These are scum of the earth. These are narcissistic, psychopathic criminals.
But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will...
Translation, I'm Donald Trump. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. 9 most terrifying words in the English language. I'm going to keep you safe. I am going to help you. The federal bureaucracy is by your side, fighting for your rights. What's wrong with this picture?
Fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters.
That's one thing this Craig said in the chat. I don't know where it's at. He said something like, you're a dumbass. You don't want law and order? Basically, you're a dumbass. You don't want the opinions of politicians ruling over you. That's what laws are. Laws are the opinions of politicians backed by threats of force and violence. No, I don't want laws regulating my life, closing my business, telling me what I should and shouldn't do, and what I have and have to do and have not to do. I don't want the opinions of politicians governing my life. Why? Because I can govern the affairs of my own life. You can govern the affairs of your own life. I'm an adult. You're an adult. You don't need adults telling you what you should and shouldn't do. Order? Yeah, I want order, but I don't want the new world order. I don't want their order. I like order. Most people do. But it's order based on justice, based on rationality, based on logic. And when you're talking about justice, rationality, and logic, you're not talking about anything that could possibly come out of government. Government is mind control, guys. It's not just mind control etymologically, but it's control lived out every single day in your face. Government knows nothing of order. They do know a lot of things about law, and they want to pile more laws on you. And the more laws they pile on you, the less free you are.
But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals.
Sorry. I gotta stop there. Anarchists don't burn things. They don't flip cars. They don't break windows. And an anarchy literally means, etymologically and literally, anarchy does not mean chaos. It just means no rulers, no controllers, no governors. Why? Because you can control and rule and govern yourself. You're responsible for your actions. I'm responsible for my actions. You control you. I control me. You don't have a higher claim over your life and property. You don't have a higher claim over my life and property than me. And I don't have a higher claim over your life and property than you. So when he's talking about anarchy, he's conflating it with chaos, which a lot of people do. But you got to correct that. Because anarchy leads to peace and it leads to prosperity. Chaos, which is what the government's all about, leads to the exact opposite of what anarchy leads to. It doesn't lead to peace and prosperity. It leads to slavery and mayhem, economic chaos. That's what government leads to.
Rioters, Antifa, and others. A number of state and local governments have failed to take necessary action to safeguard their residents. Innocent people have been savagely beaten, like the young man in Dallas, Texas, who was left dying on the street, or the woman in upstate New York viciously attacked by dangerous.
How we getting now?
Small business owners have seen their dreams utterly destroyed. New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks. Brave nurses who have battled the virus.
New York, did he say New York's tyrants or New York's finest? They're tyrants, guys. Among police forces, you could hardly find a more corrupt police force than the NYPD or the Chicago Police Department. They're all corrupt, but the cream of the crop in corruptness and wickedness as far as police departments go, New York and Chicago. Tops. And there's corruption, rampant corruption going on all the time. These law enforcers are just that. They call them police because it comes from a French word for policia or policy. They're enforcing policies. In other words, they're enforcing the edicts of politicians against the will of the people, creating slaves, creating a criminal class, creating a slave class, and feeding them to the prison industrial complex. That is a cop's job. That's where their revenue comes from. That's how state functionaries survive. By stealing from the people, by fining them, by citing them, by ticketing them. By installing surveillance cameras and making sure that you're not jaywalking. And if you are, you're going to get a ticket in the mail because, hey, we got facial recognition going on now. Or if you go through that stop sign at 2 o'clock in the morning, even though your light is stuck and nobody else is on the street and you're operating your vehicle in a safe manner, click. Oh, now you got a $20 or $250 ticket, whatever it is in your area. New York's finest. New York's most corrupt.
Are afraid to leave their homes. A police precinct has been overrun here in the nation's capital. The Lincoln Memorial and the World War II Memorial have been vandalized.
All this vandalism and rioting and chaos and looting and murdering and just being evil is to be condemned. But what's the remedy, guys? See, the government is not just mind control. It's not just control. They're the authors and perfecters of the Hegelian dialectic, the problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem, wait for the crowd's fear-based reaction, which is extremely predictable, by the way, and then they step in to provide the pre-planned solution, which takes more freedom away from you and gives them more power over you. And it's all under the guise of keeping you safe and stopping the rioters and stopping the looting and stopping the burning in your streets and stopping the glass being shattered all over the place and keeping you safe. The answer is not government. The answer is for the government to step back and stand down and get rid of all the gun control regulations so that the people who govern the affairs of their own life can protect themselves and their own families. You know, when he tweeted the other day and Twitter put that little, side note on it, here, see the Washington Post and CNN, they'll straighten you out. When he tweeted, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, and then they go, yeah, that's back from the civil rights movement in the 1960s where some racist sheriff said that. It's true. When the looting starts, if the shooting starts after that, guess what happens after the shooting starts? Justice, immediate justice. Everybody else will get the message real quick if you just leave the people alone to defend their own businesses. There's this, where was this? Yeah, check this out. Here, I wasn't planning on doing this right here, but here we're gonna make a little segue. Watch this.
They said run up in here and see what happened. On Finn out here with the
black guys are outside their businesses with, it looks like AK-47 and AR-15 style rifles. Looks like everything's
Blake's owner. Blake's owner. Run up in this black own, nigga. You see that black own? Run up in this bitch.
And you know what I say about this? Except for this poor gun safety right here. This guy literally has his AK-47 style rifle pointed at this guy's chest. Yeah, his finger's off the trigger, but that's bad. That no bueno there. Okay. So aside from that, bravo to these guys. Bravo to these black brothers. That's how you do it. You have. I don't want to say citizenry, and if I do, I'm making a mistake, because citizen connotates that you're a slave to the corporation. You're a slave to the corporate entity. We are not citizens. We are individuals. We're people. These black brothers right here are protecting their property. You remember back in the the LA riots? What was the safest place? Everything else was trashed. It was being destroyed. It was burning, tires burning in the streets, broken glass and windows, but not Koreatown. Why? Because all the Korean brothers and sisters got together and said, screw this, arm up. Uzis, fully automatic rifles. What did you have there? You had zero government. Everywhere the government was, it was burning, rubble, horrible, rampant rioting and looting. Not in Koreatown. You had zero government, and you had 100% armed people defending their own property. You had peace. You had prosperity. Perfect illustration of what I'm talking about here, guys. Government, destruction, and chaos. People who are armed, who are empowered to defend themselves, peace, prosperity, and true anarchy. They control and govern themselves. Look at these brothers right here.
Oh my mama, we gonna do that to y'all ass.
Man, that's the neighborhood I want to live in. That's the neighborhood I want to live in. Look at the no cars burning in this street right here. Matter of fact, look at the blue skies right there. I don't know where this is, but that's an example. You just look at Koreatown. Let's go back to Trump. let me just jump in the chat real quick. We don't need law. Yeah, we need order, but how does order come? Not new world order, but true peaceful order. How does it come? With an armed people, a trained, well-armed militia being necessary to the security of what? A free state, not just state geographically, but a free state of mind. You can't be free, have a free state of mind unless you're well-armed. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's just a truism. You don't need the Second Amendment for that. It's just true. You got no right to go infringe on somebody else's right to defend themselves. Zero. And as for those troops that were coming down the street in that riot gear, shooting paint cans and paint canisters at people just standing out on the porch, you think those guys would actually march down a street where they knew they were going to get fired, return fire was coming? No way in hell. Ain't going to happen. I see one cop tapping himself on another cop on the shoulder going, hey, we're not going down here. You ain't shooting no canisters. We ain't yelling at nobody to go back into their house. We're not going down that street and violating people's Fourth Amendment rights to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. Tell me how that worked out. Not one of those guys that were marching down the street in riot gear, shooting paint canisters on people's porches and yelling at them, telling them they need to be a slave in their own house. Not one of those guys was a good cop, because there can be no good cop. Why? Because they swear to uphold unjust, cruel, and wicked laws. Every one of them. Yeah, I'll obey the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the state of Montana and the laws of the state of Florida and the laws of the state of California. Sorry, you just became a hypocrite. It's either one or the other. You're going to uphold the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, or you're going to uphold your state laws, which usually includes the drug law. War on drugs, which is really a war on people. It's either one or the other. You can't have both. Supreme law of the land, last time I checked, is the Constitution of the United States. It's not the state of California or the state of Florida or the state of Maine or New York. Who will do everything he can to defend people? Yeah, I already addressed law and order. It's bogus, isn't it? Follow after Christ. All right, let's go. Let's go back. Here we go.
One of our most historic churches was set ablaze. A federal officer in California, an African-American enforcement hero, was shot and killed. These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. The destruction of innocent life.
And that's true. He's mixing truth in with what he's about to slam you with, America. About to rain down military-industrial complex tyranny on your asses. Donald Trump is. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy, wait for it.
And the spilling of innocent blood is an offense to humanity and a crime against God.
Yep, and guess who excels at doing that? Guess who excels at spilling blood and tearing body parts to smithereens and destroying 500,000 children in foreign lands through sanctions? Guess who specializes in that? Guess who specializes in black ops that cost the lives of tens of millions of people? Last I saw, a conservative estimate for the amount of people that died at the hands of a government that those people trusted was 250 million just in the last century alone, excluding wars. The death cult specialists that reign supreme and always have is government, including our government.
America needs creation, not destruction. Cooperation, not contempt. Security, not anarchy. Healing, not...
Anarchy is security. You can't continue to conflate anarchy with chaos. You cannot do it. You're being dishonest. Words have meaning. And what they're trying to do is put a spell on us and try to twist words around to mean what they don't really mean. Anarchy versus security. Anarchy is security. You all live as practical anarchists every day. Nobody told you when to get up this morning. Nobody told you what brand of toothpaste to use, or that you should even brush your teeth, or what clothes you should wear, or what you're going to go and pull out of the refrigerator today, or what kind of car you're going to drive, or who you're going to live next to, or what neighborhood you're going to live in. You made those choices by yourself. That is literally anarchy. You did it because you said to yourself, I don't need a ruler telling me what to do. But somehow we need a ruler on the federal level, on the state level to, I don't know, build those roads and schools and bridges and have that clean running water coming out of the tap, because we couldn't possibly do it without the force and threats and violence of the government. How insane is that?
Hatred, justice, not chaos. This is our mission, and we will succeed 100%. We will succeed. Our country always wins.
Now, when I hear him say this kind of stuff, All I got to do is think of him writing that $6.2 trillion check off the backs of your posterity and mine, just crushing them under the boot of banker tyranny. That's literally what, and you guys are still going to go for Trump? He literally crushed our posterity under the boot of international banker tyranny, Zionist international banker tyranny. This guy did it. When he speaks, he's speaking for the bankers and against Americans while he's saying he's for Americans. He's fork-tongued. He's banker bought, just like Obama, just like Clinton, just like Reagan, just like Bush, just like all the Democrats, just like all the Republicans.
That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America.
Hi, I'm from the government. I'm here to keep you safe. Hi, I'm from the government. I'm here to restore security. Not your job. Not your job. Because all the government can do is initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. That's their MO. That's what they do. That's how they derive power for the beast, the government beast. Through tax cattle dollars. You will pay for this. We will pay for this.
I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, kind of like they did when they marched up and down the streets after Katrina. Martial law. He hasn't even, he's only done it through the alphabet soup agencies right now. He's about to do it with the full force and might of the military industrial complex in a second. Stay tuned. I'm not kidding. Put your thinking caps on, get your heads out of your asses, and try to break the mold of the cement of cognitive dissonance that's swirling around in your mind. You've got to hear this. Fox News won't tell you this, and not even CNN will tell you that Donald Trump just sold America again down the river. Not even MSLSD will do it. They can't touch it. You know why? Because they are the propaganda arm of the military-industrial complex, just like he is. MSLSD, the Communist News Network, always broadcasting crap. CBS, NBC, faux news, they're all in bed together. And we're allowing ourselves to be distracted, deceived, and divided by all these frickin' psychopathic banker-bought puppets.
Therefore, the following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. We will end it now.
No, they won't. They won't end it now. It won't be ended. You know how it could end, though? By saying, guess what? I'm making an executive order. If you were going to be a president and you were actually going to make a good faith effort to obey the Constitution, specifically the Second Amendment, then you would say, I'm making an executive order right now. We no longer have gun laws in the United States. No more gun laws. No more gun-free, criminal empowerment, victim creation, fish in a barrel zones. No more. None. Because I know an armed society is a polite society, and I'd rather have dangerous freedom than peaceful slavery. But he's not going to do it. He can't. They want you disarmed. They want troops in the street. They want to initiate a curfew and take 100% of your freedoms away and make you a slave in your own home. That's what he's going to say. Sorry, I keep interrupting. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm going to keep interrupting when I want to.
Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an
That is called
overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled.
That is called penalizing every single American for what a small percentage of rioters are doing. We are going to take away your freedom. We're taking your essential liberty and giving you some politically promised security under the umbrella of martial frickin' law. Wow. I'm going to the chat room right now. There's only 3 minutes left in this. Yeah, I'm dumb because I don't want martial law. James says I'm dumb. I'm dumb because I don't want martial law. I'm dumb because I want dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. I'm dumb because I think an armed society is a polite society. I'm dumb because I don't want to give away essential liberty to get some politically promised security, which never comes. It always ends up in totalitarianism. It always ends up in a deeper level of dictatorship. They're always skewing your world for your new normal. More surveillance, more troops in the street, bigger military presence, more funding for the military industrial complex, bigger CIA, FBI, ATF operations. Broader scope for Homeland Security and TSA. That's always that's the foot in the door before they just fling it open and they burn your house down, man. That's what it is. Ain't nothing better than freedom. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and indifference to this notion is the means by which the people have and will obviously secure their own oppression. This is oppression right here. It's not freedom. It's not security. It's oppression. It's dictatorship. It's martial law. It's you just lost your rights. And it's going to get worse. I'm going to play the rest of this. Yeah, who said that? Andromeda? Somebody said it went too fast. Somebody said we're becoming China. Exactly. You look at some of these videos and there is no difference between what's happening to them and what's happening in China. What's happening in our streets. I'm so glad I live in a small town right now, but it's coming here too. It's coming here too. All right, let's go back to this.
If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
Guess what he just said? Trump people, guess what he just said? Are you for the Constitution or are you not? Do you not know what the 10th Amendment says? Let me just refresh your memory, guys. 10th Amendment. You're either for the 10th Amendment, you're for the Constitution, or you're not. 10th Amendment. The power is not delegated to the United States. That's the federal bureaucracy. The Title 28, Section 3002, 15A, Federal Corporation. The power is not delegated, not given to, a lot of this, some of this is bogus anyway, because you can't delegate powers that you don't have. But it says the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it, by the Constitution to the states, or reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. So what did Trump just say in this little statement right here? He basically said, if the states don't measure up, if they don't do what I tell them to do, I'm going to take over. I'm going to create peace. I'm going to be the problem solver. I'm going to violate the 10th Amendment. If you're for Trump, you are decidedly 100% against the Constitution that you say you're for, and therefore you show yourself to be a hypocrite. Q, all you Q people, all you Trump people, this is way worse than Obama. At least Obama wasn't threatening martial law in all 50 states. Maybe he did, but he wasn't. I'm not saying Trump's better than Obama or worse than Obama. They're all banker puppets. But Obama didn't sign a $6.2 trillion quote unquote stimulus package to bail out the bankers. His was only $750 billion. And we're still paying for that one. Trump did a $6.2 trillion. It was only supposed to be 2.2, and he added another $4 trillion on top of it. Amazing that people are still in this guy's corner. This is why America will fall. This is why we'll lose our freedoms. This is why troops are going to be marching in our streets. Yeah, today they're going to be shooting paint canisters. And tomorrow they're going to be shooting bullets. And they're going to have tanks just tearing up your yard, violating you all different ways from Tuesday. This is why, because we're distracted, deceived, and divided. We're checked into the cult of personality, and Trump can do no wrong. It's amazing. Before I went live in this live stream, I refreshed this page, and it was Diamond and Silk going, hey, it's Trump's birthday. We're going to sign a little card. And there's this little show that they do, and it's just sickening. It's sickening. Have these Trump sycophants just licking his boot and wiping his ass. He can do literally no wrong. I don't understand the Brandon Tatums and the Diamond and Silks and the Mark Dices and the SGT reports and the X22 reports of this world who are still clinging to this guy after they say they're for the Constitution and Trump just goes completely against it. After they say they're against martial law and Trump goes, yeah, we're all for martial law. Well, he hasn't even got to the curfew part yet. I mean, we should be heated up about this, man. I mean, heated up, getting with our neighbors and our friends and going, okay, here's what we got to do. We're on our own. We are on our own.
I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C.
That's the last place you want to protect on planet Earth. If you want, you can't get a deeper, stench-filled cesspool than Washington's District of Criminals, and he's going to send troops to save that place. That place needs to be, an earthquake needs to happen. A huge hole needs to open up and just swallow everything in that 10 square mile of mayhem and mess and madness and just disgusting, stench-filled, law-making, freedom-taking, psychopathic, narcissistic garbage. Talk about a dumpster fire, man. An evil, satanic dumpster fire, Washington, D.C. And Trump's going to defend it. If you're up there behind a podium saying you're going to defend Washington, D.C., you are literally saying, I hate the American people. Because Washington, D.C. has foisted more mayhem and bloodshed and murder and looting than probably this entire world has ever seen. Change my mind.
What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced.
7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced at the hands of heavily armed foot soldiers roaming the streets of America. That means all of our American brothers and sisters who live within that boundary of Washington's District of Criminals have just lost 100% of their rights. And when injustice against one man happens anywhere, injustice happens against all men everywhere. Injustice is about to come upon people who live in that 10 square mile of Washington, D.C. And there are probably some good people who still live there who don't buy into all this nonsense, but that's just where they live. When one American loses any freedoms, especially at the hands of a psychopathic, criminal, puppet, banker-bought politician like this guy, we need to stand up and stand firm on that which is right. If you're standing for Trump, you are literally standing for martial law. If you're standing for Trump, you're standing for the Zionist international banking cartel who owns your freaking currency. Amschel Rothschild said, if you give me control over a nation's money supply, I care not who makes its laws, man. You know what? I got the purse strings of America. I got America by the balls. They are my slave. They're my bitches. Man, if you guys don't see that, I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless.
Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail.
Yeah, I love that. In the chat, Monica goes, unsub. Okay, so you got to explain it to me. When I am 100% for your freedoms and I say nobody should take your rights away ever under any circumstances, that I'd rather have dangerous freedom than peaceful slavery, that nobody's got a right, a higher claim over your life and property than you, where's the unsub to that? Why would you unsub? Oh, gosh, I want to go to somebody who's at least giving me a spoonful of tyranny, a smattering of despotism, just some light chains and slavery. I would just say what Samuel Adams said. If you love life, if you love wealth, because life is liberty. If you love wealth greater than liberty, the tranquility of servitude rather than the animating contest of freedom, go from us in peace. We ask not your counsel or your arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May posterity forget that you are our countrymen. I don't even know. May your chain set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you are a countryman. I don't even understand. I don't understand that. Go ahead, unsub. Go ahead. I'm not here for subscribers. I'm here for people who love the truth and who love freedom and cannot tolerate one shred, one glimmering of tyranny. Nothing. Yeah. Hey, do you want this? Hey, I see you're a thirsty man parched in the desert and you haven't had a drink for a while. Here's a gallon of ice cold water. Oh, thank you. But first, before you do that, let me put just a drop or two of arsenic in it for you. It's like, why would you ever do that? Why? Why would you ever do that? That's what government is. Government is arsenic in your water. It will kill you. It's evil. Don't stand for evil.
This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence.
This is exactly why I always quote that Larkin Rose quote. Politics is the clever and deceptive art of using euphemisms, lies, emotionalism, and fear-mongering in order to dupe average people into accepting and even demanding the chains of their own enslavement. People who are on Team Red, who are Republicans, who are on the Trump train, they are demanding the chains of their own enslavement. They're going, yeah, stop Antifa. Yeah, bring martial law. Bring heavily armed troops to our streets. Have them shoot paint canisters at us if we're on our porch. Just do whatever you have to do so we can stop the chaos and the mayhem. And that's problem, reaction, solution. The government created this problem. Remember that. They've waited for your fear-based reaction. We have this 15,000-hour indoctrination program. We have decades and decades of CIA infiltrated mainstream media, Operation Mockingbird propaganda in our brains that's prepared us, that's tenderized us for this very moment to accept martial law. The question is, are you going to do it or are you going to snap out of it and go, no. I can recognize the enemy now. I've taken the red pill and there ain't no going back. These people who think they took the red pill and they're calling for their own demise at the hands of a psychopathic puppet. If Obama said the exact same thing this guy was saying, you would reject him because he's got a D by his name. What kind of logic is that? It's nonsense. It's insanity.
Law and order, and that is what it is. One law. We have one beautiful law. And once that is restored and fully restored, we will help you, we will help your business, and we will help your family.
By making you a slave, locking you in your house with curfew, with martial law, with restrictions, with me trampling the 10th Amendment to violate the Constitution. I'm going to violate the Constitution and wreck your rights so that I can protect your business. That makes a whole lot of sense. I'm going to take away your freedoms. I'm going to squeeze every last drop of freedom I can out of you so I can keep you safe and protect your business. It's psychopathy, man.
America is founded upon the rule of law. It is the foundation of our prosperity, our freedom, and our very way of life.
That's not true. Our America was not built on a rule of law. The revolution was about escaping the British rule of law. I could just stop, but there's only like 45 seconds left in this, so we'll just go on, keep on going.
But where there is no law, there is no opportunity. Where there is no justice, there is no liberty. Where there is no safety, there is no future.
Where there is no safety, there's no future. Do you realize there's more future in no safety than there is in no freedom? You could be free and not safe, but there'd be a future for you. But if you have no freedom because you were guaranteed this government safety, which means you're not in control, you're not in the driver's seat. You're not the captain of your own ship and of your own vessel and of your own family. The government is. We've offered you our security. Well, guess what? Government security is no security at all. It's a false promise. If you're out there still trusting in government, still putting everything on red on politicians or everything on blue on politicians on the other side of the aisle, you don't know what's going on. And you're literally asking for the chains, a tightening of the chains of your own enslavement. There's so many things that Trump said wrong here. I am just shocked. I am bewildered that people can't see this and go, holy crap, he might as well have one of those little short mustaches and that funny hairdo and have a swastika on his arm. That's what Hitler did. Speechless.
We must never give in to anger or hatred. If malice or violence reigns, then none of us is free. I take these actions.
I agree. If violence or malice reigns, then none of us are free. And what is government? What is that which Bush and Reagan and Clinton and Trump and Obama represent? Violence and malice of the government. That violent, malicious government is holding out it's holding out an olive branch of freedom and peace and prosperity. It's like, just picture a demon going, look, I have the olive branch in this hand, and I have the dove of peace in this hand, and I am here to give you freedom, little girls, my pretty. That's literally, that's how ridiculous it really is. If you wanted a metaphor, that's literally what it is. The evil demons of government holding out the olive branch and the dove of peace and prosperity and freedom. And you believing there's not a catch to this. Not taking a moment to scratch your head and step back for a second and go, gosh, something just doesn't seem quite right about this. I mean, in the history of governments, they've literally cost the lives of over 250 million people who trusted them to keep them safe. I wonder if I should keep them safe, or if, through me, history should repeat itself. If you don't learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it. And that 250 million people who died, that's not even counting the 340 to 360 million who died with all the bloodshed and the banker wars. Every war is a banker war. The same government who told you that Vietnamese torpedo boats fired on the USS Maddox to usher in the Vietnam War, which cost over 58,000 servicemen their lives and 1.3 to 3 million civilian casualties, that same government is still alive and well and has a bigger surveillance apparatus and a more powerful military industrial complex to launch against us. But we cannot be defeated as long as knowledge and morals are preserved, as long as we stand strong on what is right. We'll have something to fight for, and we'll have a freedom and a future to deliver our kids. If we bow down to this nonsense and to this banker-bought puppet, we're dead. Dead.
Today, with firm resolve and with a true and passionate love for our country, by far our greatest days lie ahead. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to pay my respects to a very, very special place. Thank you very much.
And with that, he walks away from the podium. And I don't want you guys to walk away from this video and think for a second that I'm for rioters and cars burning in the streets and businesses being torn down by a bunch of violent agitators who are probably funded by who knows who. I'm not for that. But that can be brought down in an instant if we got together on just the principles of liberty and resisted martial law and resisted all forms of tyranny, whether that tyranny comes from Antifa, because that's tyranny too. Communism is tyranny. Marxism is tyranny. Socialism is tyranny. It's people thinking they have a higher claim over your life and property than you, to the point where they roving bands of marauders walk down the roads and throw bricks through the window. That's tyranny. It's a tyrant. He has no right to do that. And there's only one law that governs that. You don't need a book. You don't need a holy book or some 240, 250-year-old piece of parchment written by men long dead to know that the reason he shouldn't throw that brick through the window is because he wouldn't want that brick thrown through his window. He wouldn't want his safety and security jeopardized. He wouldn't want his sister to be on the other side of that window and get that brick upside their head or that fire started in their business. He wouldn't want it. And if he says he does, he's a liar. And he's not fit for society anyway. There's only one law. Do to others what you would want done to you. And if you see anybody violate that law, they don't care about you and they don't care about anybody but themselves. And that is the face of a tyrant. This right here is the back of a tyrant. This right here is the face of a tyrant. He just initiated martial law on American soil, thus taking away rights while he's dangling the lie of safety and security. I'm gonna go in the chat room. Somebody was saying there's no super chat on this channel because I'm completely demonetized. If you guys want to support the channel or whatever, PayPal, Patreon, Bitcoin, all that stuff's in the description, or don't. It doesn't matter. I mean, like, what does it even matter? Freedom 2020. So I'm gonna read some here. If this doesn't get you hot under the collar and piss you off, especially, you know what pisses me off more? It's not that tyrants rise. It's not that we have a Stalin or a Mussolini or a Hitler. Those guys aren't powerful. But you know who is powerful? It's a whole group of lemmings who got distracted, deceived, and divided by the 15,000-hour indoctrination program and the CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, lamestream, fake stream media, and all the politicians from Nazi Pelosi to Diane Frankenstein to little Chucky Schumer and little Donald Trump. You guys send this to every Republican you know. Yeah, we know Democrats are out to lunch. Of course we know that. Republicans are out to lunch too. Am I saying that to be divisive? Just to divide? No, it's just true. Truth is a sword. It causes division. You can't apologize for it and you can't back off from it, because if you back off from truth, then guess what you just did? You just signed the death warrant for humanity. When you back off of truth, you literally sign with your own hand your own death warrant, your family's death warrant, and the death warrant for humanity. We need truth in you. I am only as free as your mind allows me to be. We're only as free as the most let's say there's 100 people in the room. You're only as free as the most powerful 10 people in that room. And if their minds aren't geared toward freedom and protecting everybody, all for one and one for all, you know that what's that one? What is that thing that where we go one, where we go all from? That's a true statement, but it's been co-opted by Q, who says trust the plan, and that plan is that there are good guys in government who are going to weed out the bad guys in government, and that's a misnomer. That's not true. There are no good guys in government. If they were good guys, they wouldn't be in government, because government literally means mind control. So these government agents are literally trying to control other people against their will and without their consent. That's called evil. That's where all murders come from. That's where looting comes from. That's where theft comes from. That's where rape comes from. Because somebody, let's say it's in the issue of rape, a guy looks at a girl and goes, "I'll have that," and the woman says, "No, I don't want you to have that." And he goes, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to take it anyway, against your will and without your consent." That's called rape, because he did some sexual action against this woman without her consent. It's the same with theft. I think I'll break into that house that I didn't build, that I didn't buy with the sweat of my own brow and the work of my own labor and by the grit of my own hands. But I'll break into that man's house, even though that thief knows if he was honest with himself, he wouldn't want his house broken into. He wouldn't want his family's lives jeopardized when that thief walked through the door. We got to stand for what's right. And what Trump said was 100% wrong. Go ahead and unsub me for that. I'm not backing off of that. I can go to bed with a clean conscience tonight. When you have federal, state, or local law enforcers who are just going to obey orders and uphold the curfew and exact fines and issue tickets and cage people and kidnap them, when you have an order follower, you have the most destructive being on the planet. The pathway through which most evil enters this world is through order followers. It's not even so much, the order giver is bad enough. He's evil enough. But think about it. Politicians like Nazi Pelosi, they're not out there on the streets grabbing people and throwing them in the back of a cop car and taking them to prison and ruining their lives. They only whisper in the ears of the law enforcers. It's the law enforcers who are culpable for their actions, just like, yes, the politicians are too. And they are bad, but who's worse? The order giver or the order follower? The one who said throw him in prison or the one who actually took away 100% of their freedoms and threw him in prison? The one who said, yeah, go ahead and murder that person, or the person who actually pulled the trigger and splattered those brains all over that kitchen? Who's worse? It's the order followers. Because if it weren't for the order followers, it doesn't matter about the order givers. The Nazi Pelosi's and the Diane Frankensteins and the little Chucky Schumers and the Donald Trumps of this world and the Benito Mussolinis of this world would be nothing. You never would have heard from them. Or the King George III's of the world. You never would have heard from them if people didn't lay down and back off of freedom. But when you back off of freedom, you sign the death warrant of the United States. You sign the death warrant of all Americans. Literally, by extension, you sign the death warrant of everybody, because America was at one time, it ain't anymore. It's kind of communist China now, but we're a city on a hill. Hasn't been like that for a long time since the military-industrial complex rolled in. We were warned by Eisenhower of the threat, the great threat of the military-industrial complex, and we're still buying into the lie. What's wrong with us? Back to the order followers. They're dangerous and they are the gateway through which most, if not all, evil enters through this world. What would a drug war matter? What would a Anslinger matter saying, yeah, let's go ahead and villainize the black people and the Hispanics and call marijuana the devil's weed. Let's go ahead and enact prohibition and just arrest people. Even though an hour before prohibition went into effect, they were just free people buying and selling and drinking alcohol. An hour later or a minute later when that thing went into effect, now all of a sudden they're criminals by political edict? Don't think so. Doesn't matter what they do in Washington, D.C. You know what matters? It's the boots on the ground who actually listen to that whisper of a Nazi Pelosi or a Donald Trump. And they go, oh, drug war? Okay, we'll throw those people in jail for you. Because they had an ounce of weed in their car. Or they were growing a plant in their backyard because they have a little kid who's got epilepsy and that really helps them out. But we're going to throw those parents in jail, and we're going to take that little epileptic kid and put him into foster care where he's 85% more likely to be molested and sold into child sex slavery. That's how bad government is. They'll ruin a person's life for a freaking plant growing in the backyard or the broom closet. They'll ruin a life for a plant, guys. That's what an order follower does. He's not a moralist, he's a conformist. Because a conformist does what he's told, regardless of what is right. He doesn't care how many lives he ruins. Hey, he's just doing his job. I'm just following orders. And he thinks saying, I just followed orders advocates him of some kind of like personal responsibility, or there's no way I've done evil. Yeah, I threw him in the back of the cop car. I kidnapped them. I put the kid in foster care. I ruined the family's life. I completely dissolved that family. Now that family's wiped off of existence, but it's not my fault. I was just following orders. Yeah, it is your fault. It is your fault. Civil asset forfeiture, drug laws, alcohol prohibition. It never stops. Leading the people to war. Yeah, I was in Vietnam and I torched that little grass hut with that 7-member family in it, but I was just following orders. You killed those people. Why do you think there's PTSDs? Because people have to come to terms with the ghosts that rattle around in their own minds. They know they did wrong, but they're trying to bury it with drug abuse or alcohol abuse. Why do you think there's 20 people? What is it? No. What is it? 20 people a day committing suicide for, ex-military? Probably most of them because they're grappling in their own mind with the inconsistencies that they shoved in their own mind through their cognitive dissonance to try to pacify themselves and try to give them an excuse and a justification for what they've done, the evil that they've wrought on this world. I was just following orders did not work at the Nuremberg trials, and it will never work because it's not true. Yeah, you can make that claim all you want to. You can say you're a purple polka-dotted donkey pooping rainbow swirls and caramel clouds, but it doesn't make it so. You can say that you're not responsible for that because you were just following orders. You were just doing your job. And yeah, I know I killed that family, but it's really, I was just following orders. I'm not culpable. I'm not responsible. I'm not the guilty one. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Because you're a conformist. You did what you were told and you knew it wasn't right, but you did it anyway. All you sheriffs and you law enforcers and you military guys out there, you knew it was wrong, but you did it anyway. And you hid behind the veil of, I was just following orders. It doesn't wash. It doesn't work. It's not true. It's not according to logic, love, human kindness, compassion, or gentleness, or anything that resembles humanity. Nothing. So you're either a conformist or a moralist, because you know what a moralist does? A moralist does what is right, regardless of what he's told. And he doesn't care what hinges on it. He's always going to do what's right. But see, the problem is you can't get people to come to the knowledge of the truth when their paycheck depends on them not coming to the knowledge of the truth. And that's what you see time and time again. Their paychecks are connected to you obey and you follow orders. Yeah, I don't care if you're damaging and harming lives and selling kids into child sex slavery and taking away 100% of people's freedoms. You just follow orders. Here's your paycheck. And they can justify it. Sucks, but that's our world. All right, guys, before they knock me off this thing, I don't know. I don't even know how to disconnect here. I don't even know how to disconnect. I'm in a totally different window. Let me end by saying this. First of all, let me give a shout out to all my Patreon, PayPal, Bitcoin Subscribe Star supporters. Without you, I wouldn't be able to do this content. All right. I'm 100% demonetized now. But it doesn't matter. You know what matters? What matters is getting out the truth. And you guys help me to get out the truth. And I really, really appreciate it. People who've bought my shirts or whatever, I really, really appreciate it. What this is all about is getting out the truth and waking up the masses. Because like I started this video out with is the way I'm going to end it. You and I are only as free as our neighbors. If they're not free in their minds, if they are enslaved, they're going to call for your slavery. And it's only a matter of time before you lose 100% of your slavery. Don't give away any of your freedom. Don't give away any of your freedom. I probably misspoke there. I don't know. Those who would give away a little essential liberty to obtain a little politically promised security, which I'm telling you guys, you see from history, it never comes. You never get the security you're promised. Why? Because it was promised to you by politicians. And politicians, one thing we know about politicians is they always lie. They never tell the truth. So you are absolutely 100% insane to trust a political promise. I don't care who it comes from, Trump or Pelosi or Clinton. I don't care who it comes from. It's a lie. If you give away a little essential liberty to obtain a little politically promised security, you deserve neither liberty nor security. You literally deserve slavery if you give away your liberty and liberty for security. Because when you give away your liberty, you're giving away not only your life, you're giving away your family's life, everybody you love, anything that matters to you in your life. You're basically giving evil a foothold in this world by getting rid of your freedom. And oh yeah, you know what evil will say? Oh, you're being selfish by trying to hold fast to your freedom. No, you're not. When I'm holding on to my freedom, I'm holding on to freedom even for the March for Our Lives people, which is really the march against our rights. They're marching against their rights, and I'm out there protesting, marching for their rights. It's a strange paradox, man. You and I are out here championing the cause of the freedom of individuals who are literally trying to take our freedom. That's the nature of freedom. Because freedom for one is freedom for all. If you want freedom, you want it for everybody, or you want it for no one. When injustice is done to one man anywhere, injustice is done to all men everywhere. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.